Dale here. Last night I got to dive into some research, ultimately because of all the misinformation and manipulation going on right now in the media, and ultimately what I see is the focus is in the wrong place. I'd like to change the discussion. Everybody wants to point fingers, call names, saying you're putting this child at risk, you're putting my vaccinated child at risk because your child's not vaccinated. Nowadays people are saying that we need to put parents who don't vaccinate their children in jail. So that's quite frightening, truthfully, because we're at a point in time where people really hate each other almost if you choose not to vaccinate. And sadly, we don't need to be even discussing pro-vaccine versus anti-vaccine, because if we change the entire conversation into things that actually would matter in terms of childhood mortality, we would save a lot more lives. We would have a lot more children living to their God-given potential. So, this is the first study, and yes, I'm the dork that reads British Medical Journal from 1977. Here's the title, Persistent Measles Infection in Malnourished Children. See, malnourishment is the leading cause of death in the world in children. So, and here in the United States, we actually have a lot of children who are overfed but malnourished, and they die from complications due to infectious illness. So what we want to do here is we want to change the conversation again and really look at how we can all agree to disagree in terms of vaccines, but agree that there is a way to save children's lives. So, all right. So this article is pretty cool because it takes you through a study that has a significant value to it, even though the small population size. They had 25 well-nourished children and 30 undernourished or malnourished children. And what they found was 15 children died in the malnourished group. They said the overall mortality in this group was 50%. So you can see right over here, 50% despite intensive treatment in the hospital. And treatment in the hospital, you'll read later, if you read the entire research study, was antibiotics, which is kind of funny to me because measles is a virus. So if you give an antibiotic to an individual with a viral infection, you actually will weaken their body and cause more malnourishment because it will kill the good bacteria in your stomach. So there's a problem right there within even this study. But let's go on. They gave nutritional advice to the mother on discharge. What's interesting to me is they talk about how 90% of these malnourished children, so these children don't even have access to quality nutrition. That's probably why they're malnourished. So you give advice to a mom, and I've given advice to a significant number of parents, and oftentimes, how do we afford nutritious food? That's what we need to focus on. Getting nourishing, rich, nutrient-rich vitamins, not vitamins, but those vitamins through whole food. Let's start subsidizing the kale industry or the cabbage industry or broccoli, these things. We could actually save lives through that, but rather our government subsidizes the nutrient-deficient foods. And later you could read about how grains have phytates and they cause a depletion and a resistance to the body. They resist the body's ability to absorb zinc and minerals needed for proper immune response. So you could study that later, but we'll go through that article a little bit in a second here. I ramble. I tend to. Oh well. So let's go down here, some interesting points I wanted to make throughout this article and research study. And you can get this online through the web, so go ahead and do that. Here we go. We've got this area right here. I like this because it explains what we need to be talking about. See, people want to say that measles causes people to go blind, to children to go blind, for a child to die, but actually what happens is malnutrition impaired their cellular and humoral immunity. So it impaired their cellular immunity, which resulted in severe attacks of the measles with persisting virus in some cases. This severe measles infection made their malnutrition worse. They were already malnourished. And then measles causes a depletion of vitamin A within the liver. So it can exhaust if a child's already malnourished, especially things like vitamin A, which we'll go through in the next study here. Vitamin A supplementation could save lives. But it causes further malnutrition, further impairing the immune system, rendering them susceptible to secondary infection, which was the main cause of death. See, if you look at the chart down here, it's pretty simple. Malnourishment or malnutrition can cause a decrease in your cellular immunity, which then can cause secondary infections alone, and then more malnourishment and secondary infections can cause death. So you don't even have to worry about measles at all. All you have to worry about is malnutrition that causes the decrease in cellular immunity, which then can cause infections of any type and cause death in various diseases and illnesses. I mean, mind you, malnourishment and malnutrition, improper nutrition in the United States is one of the leading causes of diabetes, heart disease in our children, mental conditions like ADD, ADHD, autism, in fact. And you guys get me. So malnourishment going to measles, and the measles causes more malnourishment, which then more decreased cellular immunity, which in secondary infections, and then death. So really, if we would get rid of this, that entire loop would be destroyed, thus we would not have death from infectious illness. So going on, what's really cool is there was no deaths whatsoever in the fully nourished children. So the morbidity, which is disease, is mainly due to suppression of the immune response by the virus, which leads to secondary infection rather than to direct destructive action of the virus itself. So it's not the virus itself. Again, it's the malnourishment of the child in the first place. So if we really want to talk about who should go to jail, it's the mother and father that take their child to McDonald's every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what? There should be like a membership card to McDonald's, and you're only allowed to take your child there once a week or less than that. My child will probably never eat McDonald's, and you want to call that neglect, whatever, not allowing them to experience the world and life and enjoy things. You know what? We enjoy garlicky kale salad, and that's what my son will eventually like. So, you know, maybe that's a thought. I don't know. You can vote below, maybe. I don't even have a voting system below. Anyways. Research from the South. This is another research study, an article on supplementation of vitamin A, British Medical Journal from 1987. So I use these old studies because they're really cool because, you know what, we've been sitting on this information for how long and no one is taking note of it and actually applying it, in which would save the lives of millions of children worldwide. Not just a few thousand that are dying from, and a few thousand, I say that word lightly. You know, there's maybe hundreds of thousands of children worldwide dying of infectious disease, but malnourishment would eliminate the risk of death and complications from infectious illness. Okay, going on. Mortality was several times higher in marasmic, you can look that word up, than in better nourished children, so marasmic being malnourished. So, okay, let's look at what did I want to talk about here. Vitamin A deficiency resulting in eye damage, possibly increased mortality from respiratory and diarrheal causes. Later on, you'll find out how the vitamin A deficiency that the measles can cause, and the vitamin A deficiency is not actually caused by measles. Measles damages epithelial cells, corneal cells in your eye need vitamin A, and for proper immune response and regeneration of those cells, you need vitamin A, and because you're damaging those cells, the measles damages those cells, then you use more vitamin A, and if you don't have enough vitamin A because you're malnourished, then you go blind, and then you have problems with diarrhea and stuff because the epithelial cells in your digestive tract can't absorb nutrients, you get into diarrhea, you can't hold down water, and there's your complications due to the measles. All right, so fourfold increase in mortality from all causes. So a vitamin A deficiency had a fourfold increase in all causes, not just not just measles. So this is the biggest thing I want you guys to see is if we can focus on nutrition, we can actually reduce all-cause mortality in terms of infectious illness and other chronic diseases. Not talking about like vitamin A supplementation could reduce car accidents. That's a different cause mortality. So anyways, just in case somebody wanted to like point out that fact that, yeah, car accidents can't be reduced. Yeah, you want to argue that. That's what it seems like. Many people will just poke holes in anything you can possibly say, trying to change the subject from vaccine, not vaccine. Which way do we go? Why not just go nourish our children and focus on that and really make an impact in this world? So anyways, I won't go through all of this. You guys can read this later. You have the title. You can look it up. You can read through the entire PDF for your own enjoyment. But really cool stuff. They were able to actually supplement vitamin A immediately. You can see right here. Half of the subjects were then randomly allocated to receive vitamin A 200 IU orally immediately upon noticing that they were in the hospital due to the measles, and again the next day. And the other children were given a standard treatment. Again, standard treatment, given antibiotics, which should not be given during a viral infection because, again, that would kill the good bacteria in your stomach and thus put you at greater risk of malnutrition. Big problem, medical establishment. You better start thinking logically. Going on. Okay, I took a stab at somebody. I apologize for that. Anyways, 200 IU, so we did this. They did this. We as in humans, not the mouse in my pocket. But what I'm saying here is 200 IU were given to these children knowing that measles causes a vitamin A deficiency in malnourished children. So they were able to save 50%. They reduced the mortality rate by 50% just supplementing with vitamin A. So immediately we should start to at least implement this, because I don't think there's anybody out there that's like religiously against vitamin A. They may be against vitamins, maybe synthetic vitamins, but you know what? If we can find sources like carrots and juice carrots in a hospital and give that to a mother who's breastfeeding with a child with measles, or to a infant, and let them nurse carrot juice, then we take care of that. So I don't think anybody would be against eating carrots. So there, we did away with that argument. Going on, the next one is zinc, diarrhea, and pneumonia. I love this. This journal article is amazing for one fact right at the very end, and we'll talk about that because that's the big surprise. Just wait. So here we go. Zinc, diarrhea, pneumonia. See, these are the secondary infections that cause the majority of deaths due to infectious illness. So cells with rapid, that's just talking about what zinc does. Zinc is needed for proper immune response, gastrointestinal systems. So zinc is important for proper nutrition, standings in blood, concentrations. So zinc supplements enhancing linear growth, so they can enhance growth in children. They can reverse and stop retardation of growth. Breast milk provides quite modest, progressively decreasing quantities of zinc, but with relatively favorable bioavailability. So it's really bioavailable in breast milk. So that's a positive for mothers who are breastfeeding. So through zinc supplements, right over here, zinc supplements may be ineffective in some circumstances if other nutrient deficiencies coexist. So here's another important thing. See, medicine and much of the way we think in America is we want one single silver bullet to fix everything, whether it be a vaccine or a single supplement. Zinc has amazing benefit, but if you're malnourished, and let's say vitamin A again, and you only get zinc, then you may be at higher risk of complications due to the measles or other infectious illness. So going on, abnormalities, intestinal transport, that's all about how your body absorbs nutrients. Here's the big stuff. There's the phytate stuff. That's what I was talking about. How grains, like our typical grains that we eat in America, pastas, breads, cereals, they have phytates. Phytates decrease the ability for your body to absorb things like minerals like zinc. They're kind of an anti-nutrient, but a way to do away with that would be actually to ferment many of your foods before cooking or eating. So, which in fermentation actually increases good bacterial probiotics in your digestive tract, enhancing your body's ability to absorb nutrients and enhancing and strengthening your immune response. Great benefit there. So anyways, the largest, read this, and I want everybody to read this. If you're anti-vaccine or you're pro-vaccine, if you're anti-vaccine, this will be amazing for you to use every single time you get in an argument with somebody who's pro-vaccine saying, well, vaccines, they did away with the infectious illness death rate, didn't they? No, they didn't. Here's the Journal of Pediatrics, a pediatrician's journal, a major medical journal saying the largest historical decrease in morbidity, that would be disease, and mortality, that would be death, caused by infectious disease, was experienced not with the modern antibiotic and vaccine era. Let's repeat that. The largest historical decrease in sickness and death caused by infectious disease, measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, diarrhea, rotavirus, all those kinds of things, was experienced not with the antibiotics or the vaccines, but after introduction of clean water and effective sewer systems. We stop just bombarding our children with infectious agents and get them nourished. We've already done away with the risk of infectious disease complications. All right, thus on a worldwide public health level, it is likely to be more economically feasible than vaccines directed against a specific organism. See, nutrition will not only reduce the disease burden of infectious illness, but it will also reduce the disease burden of other chronic illnesses. And what I want to point out here, why do you think we don't focus on getting nutrition to third world countries, focusing on proper nutrition within the United States? Why do you think the media, drug companies, the medical establishment continue to make this bogus argument about vaccines, vaccines, vaccines? Their own literature says that the vaccines did not reduce the infectious illness death rates. It was prior to the vaccines. Why? Because it would be more economically feasible. And what economically feasible means in economics, we're talking primarily financial economics here. It would be more beneficial economically, meaning we would save more money, thus then people wouldn't have to pay for thousands of dollars in vaccinations and medical visits if we just kept our children clean and nourished. Hope you enjoyed this rant and review of the medical literature. Have a great day.